Hi guys, welcome back to DeFi Daily. Today we will have a discussion with Jonathan Caras from the Luna Foundation Guard and from the team of Levana. We will discuss about the future of Levana that was impacted inevitably by what happened with Terra, UST and Luna, but how they are also working to recover the time that has been lost. And on the other side, we will try to answer to all the main questions that came out when we are talking about Terra USD and what happened into these days that were literally insane, where we have seen USD crashing so dramatically. And we will try to talk about all of this stuff with a person that is like an insider that was involved, that he is knowing personally the different people that are involved into Luna Foundation Guard from one side, and on the other side also the whole Terra ecosystem. So enjoy the interview, and if you have any other question, if you want to know something else, feel free to comment below, and I will be happy to bring your question to other people and also to share what is my personal thought. Enjoy the interview, and I will see you tomorrow in another video. Bye guys. I'm really happy to have here Jonathan again. As you probably can remember, if you missed the previous interview, the previous AMA, you can retrieve it into the corner here. It was quite an unfortunate time because at that time, we were still talking about a Terra ecosystem that was alive. Luna had a great future, but after that, we had this big crash. What we will try to do together is try to figure it out, try to rebuild the story of what happened in the last couple of days, because at the end of the story, it was just everything happened in so fast, in just 2 weeks, everything has changed. And after that, I will also ask to Jonathan, because Jonathan is working with Levana, that is a protocol about derivatives. He will also tell you something more about it, and he's trying to leverage the GameFi. After that, we will try also to talk about the Luna Foundation Guard and all the storytelling related to Luna and Terra. So thank you, Jonathan. If you want to share something about how do you feel, because I can't imagine how it has been. It has been literally a mess in the last couple of weeks for you. And if you want to introduce yourself to the people that maybe are not still aware, who are you and what is your role into the different projects that you are involved?
Sure. So my name is Jonathan Caras. I entered into the crypto space after many years in the high-tech industry, formerly trained as a computer engineer from DC, living in Jerusalem. I entered in just as a retail trader in 2016, 17, and then a head of research at a crypto hedge fund. So we were investigating what now is called DeFi. You know, that wasn't a term at the time. We did very well, or the fund did very well. And then I got into scaling, like scaling solutions, and I led business development at Starkware, which is probably the most promising layer 2 scaling solution for Ethereum. I mean, I know I'm biased, but you know, I'm very familiar with the technology, and technology is amazing. And then I got really into stablecoins in late 2019, then, you know, moving forward, you know, just recognize that stablecoins are the killer product within crypto, and that without a censorship resistant stablecoin, it would be very hard for DeFi to grow. And so that's how I fell down the rabbit hole of Terra. And then that's how I found my way to the project of Levana. I came on to lead communications for Levana, and got to, you know, really influence the way that the vision of Levana, which is defined as DeFi-tainment, which is to create a world, like, you know, inspired by like the likes of Harry Potter or Star Wars or Lord of the Rings, where there's a comprehensive fantasy world, and that leads you into an educational experience, which teaches you about the value drivers of blockchain and about crypto, all powered by really innovative trading technology that's capital efficient, and, you know, can really leverage any asset. And that's the acronym which Levana stands for, leverage any asset. We, you know, received investments from a lot of the major VCs within the space, and then, including that from some of the members of Terraform Labs. And, we were very excited to build on Terra. We became a flagship product. We had the most success within the Terra ecosystem. We were a flagship product. We had the most successful NFT set with the largest amount of holders, most amount of mints. We had the most successful GameFi product. We had over 10,000 monthly active users. We had distributed hundreds of thousands of dollars equivalent in NFTs of rewards for players within the various play to earn experiences. And we had some of the most innovative DeFi protocols focused around leverage. So leverage ETFs, perpetual swaps, options trading, all on Terra. And just through my experience and knowledge of being a researcher in the crypto space, being an expert on stablecoins and on just various algorithms and methodologies. So I was invited to be an advisor. There was a board of advisors for the Luna Foundation Guard. And so I contributed from a thought leadership position into how Terra could help migrate itself from being a purely algorithmic stablecoin to being a stablecoin backed by decentralized assets, primarily around Bitcoin. So I was invited in the beginning of February of this year. And so I got to contribute to 3 brainstorming sessions. And then unfortunately in early May, Terra was attacked and then subsequently killed, or I should say maybe murdered, maybe that's a better term. And it was a very traumatic experience for me on a personal level and a professional level and a financial level. Personally, I got wrecked and Levana got wrecked. So it's, happy to answer any specific questions, but I think the future is bright. I think the future for crypto is bright. I think the future for stablecoins is bright, definitely for DeFi and for GameFi. And these are just the ebbs and flows of working in an early industry.
And before going on more deeper about different topics about Levana and about what happened, I have just a curiosity that I was wondering while you were speaking about the Luna Foundation Guard. What is the future of the Luna Foundation Guard? It is still an existent entity? It is still something going on, or it is simply that exactly as the Luna, at least the previous version?
So I really wish I had an answer for you. I don't know. There hasn't been, like I said before, I participated in 3 different brainstorming sessions. There hasn't been a brainstorming session since the crash. I'm not sure if there will be. If they were, if I was in, if there are more meetings that are happening, I haven't been invited to them, so I can't say one way or another. But really, at least the mission statement that excited me, or that that I was asked to think about and to give feedback on, was ways to improve or to create a semi-backed algorithmic stablecoin that had seigniorage and had redemption rights for baskets of censorship-resistant crypto assets. So Luna the chain, or Terra the chain, launched last Friday, or on Saturday actually. So that was what, like the 28th, I think?
28th, yes.
Yeah. So the 28th of March, 2022. So it launched without UST. And so so at least from my perspective, the thought prompts, the brainstorming concepts that I was asked to contribute or to think about are not really relevant for the new Terra chain. That being said, I am, the Terra community was so strong, or is so strong. There's so many talented people that were building and are building on it, that I do believe that Terra 2, or the new Terra chain, can be successful, although it will be successful with a very different mission and vision than what Terra, the original Terra or Terra Classic had.
But before going on more about Terra 2, I would like to come back to how the decision process or into the Luna Foundation Guard it was working. So who were literally in charge? It was a couple of people, a couple of persons. There was a committee. How does it work? Because one thing that I was wondering while all the mess happened was that the Luna Foundation Guard was quite silent, because we haven't received any kind of news, any kind of update from the beginning. The day that we made the previous AMA was like the last real communication that came out from the Luna Foundation Guard. After that, many days passed without any kind of news, any kind of updates. And just at the end of the whole story, a statement came out saying that the resources that were left into the wallet were just a certain kind of amount. But in the middle, it's not clear what happened. And what I'm missing is who were deciding, how does it work, the Luna Foundation Guard, in terms of process and decision making?
So like I said before, the only visibility that I had was when I was asked questions. On the day that the initial attack happened, I was asked if 30,000 Bitcoin, there was roughly, I think, 80,000 Bitcoin in the treasury. So there was 30,000 Bitcoin. Should, I forget the exact language, so please don't quote me on this, but, should 30,000 Bitcoin be deployed to help restore the peg? And I don't remember exactly what the price of UST was at that point. Obviously we can look it up, but it seemed very clear that was actually the purpose. The Bitcoin was designed to help defend the peg. There was a long-term vision that there would be this redemption mechanism so that actually owners of UST would actually be able to trustlessly burn the UST in order to redeem Bitcoin. But that was like months away from being, that was weeks away from being the building being completed. And then, months away from the audit and it going live. So really the attackers, they recognized that like the system that had been designed had not been finished being built yet. So there was this like midterm period where, the attack would be particularly effective.
You are referring obviously to the goal to make it automated in order to have, let's say, a DApp that is working in order to sustain the peg, as we were talking about, for example, on Astroport, on having different ways to support the peg without having a centralized entity that is taking the decisions and at the end of the story, managing the whole story. Exactly.
So, I was asked my opinion on that. I said that I thought that it made sense. To actively try and restore the peg. And then I didn't really, that was, from my perspective, that was kind of like the last like formal, as I said before, like there wasn't like the last formal interaction. Yes, I understand. Yeah. There's been like little messages here and there, there was like a sample text of like tweets and stuff, but like really, I've just been getting my information from Twitter since then, which is a chat, it is what it is. Like, I wasn't a formal member of the group. You can look, it's a company registered in Singapore. So, anybody is welcome to just look and see, who the owners of LFG are and what's the corporate structure and, things like that. It's all public information. So I'm not included in any of that. As I said, I was a researcher that was passionate about the mission statement. But so I can understand why, when everything fell apart, like they don't need researchers. So why would anybody talk to me? But at the same time, I have got, a lot inbounds to my inbox or asking for answers to questions that I feel like I'm in the same boat as everybody else. Yeah, but I'm wondering, there will be any kind of statement, in your opinion, that will come out explaining how the different funds has been used? Because, for example, I was analyzing the chart. I didn't find any kind of relationship between USD recovering, a Bitcoin dump in terms of volume. So it is not really clear how the different funds has been used and what really happened. We are just having an initial amount and a final amount. What happened in the middle?
it is just a mystery, and it's not, unfortunately, contributing so much to a transparent way of communicate and to recover trust into the project.
Absolutely. I feel the exact same way as you. I've asked for more information. That the only information that I have is the information that was published publicly. And I wish that wasn't the case. I try and always give the benefit of the doubt and not think bad about anyone, or, to just recognize that, like, everybody has the same goals. Like, but I don't know. I don't know why the communication strategy as it's been taken, as you put it, that like there's kind of like where there was a line over here, and then there was a line over here, and then there's a gap in the middle. I think we've all asked the same questions of when can we get more clarification on that gap in the middle. But I suspect, especially because like the blockchain never forgets anything. So I suspect that just over time, more information will be published, and that there's like really smart people that know how to do really smart stuff. But in terms of like official statements or anything like that, I don't know. For myself, I've kind of just like tried to emotionally move on and just look at the builders and the people that were wrecked. I know at least like, I don't know, 50 people that are close to me that like lost their entire life savings. I didn't lose my entire life savings, but I lost about half of it. Levana lost a third of her treasury, which is like, that's people's lives and salaries and food on their table. And, and firing people is a terrible situation to be in. But it's a reality when you lose, a third of your operational capital. So, on one hand, I'm emotional about, understanding what happened, but at the same time, I recognize that I'm pretty powerless, and that I recognize that, it's like we have to, focus on the things that we can control, and focus on picking up the pieces and creating success, because if we don't do it, nobody else is going to. And so that's where I'm trying to just put my headspace and my mental energy.
And in your opinion, or better, into the small group that were working with the Luna Foundation Guard, that were close to the whole work, that the whole mission, at least, of the Luna Foundation Guard, there were the feelings about something was going on, because at the end of the story, a lot of different kind of small stories, like the problem with the Terraform labs that were going from Korea to Singapore, and many different stories that came out just after the crash that were showing, I don't know, because I don't have any kind of proof, but at least they are showing that something was going on, something wasn't so clear as it was appearing, or at least as it should be. And it was something that you were feeling that something was going wrong, or at least in your opinion, these kind of stories are just stories without any kind of relevance, or they are having a role into the overall crash?
It's clear to me that there was an attacker. And it's clear to me that the attacker had significant information into the, the structure and the status, attacking before the redemption mechanism was live, before the, while the 3 pool was down, liquidity was low, and the 4 pool wasn't launched yet, and all of these little things. Like it was such an elegant attack that definitely leads to a lot of witch hunts, of people trying to point fingers.
That's human beings, so that's our nature. In the moment
exactly,
that something
exactly.
was wrong, we are always pointing someone.
And what I just try, and focus on is that, again, the blockchain never forgets. All the information is there. Things will, I think, whatever needs to come out eventually will come out. Also, like when you have like, a secret is something you haven't told someone yet. That's, so as soon as there's like something that's secretive, that's shared between multiple people, just over time, those things tend to come out. Whether it's like, I mean, to whatever extent, that's why I think it's people that don't believe that we ever landed on the moon are ridiculous, because how could it be possible that, just to have like thousands of people come together and work on something like that and it not be blown out of the water. So I try not to be a conspiracy theorist. And, I think that there was a real communication challenge. And if there was like specific malicious actions, that will probably be revealed through time.
Did you have the opportunity to check the nonsense report that came out just, I think, on Saturday, Sunday? Yeah, so it was on Saturday.
No, I didn't see. If you post the link, I'm happy to take a look. But
yeah, I will send it later on. Because at the end of the story, even from that report, it wasn't so clear what really happened, because they were pointing out that there were like 7 main players, or at least 7 main wallets. But at the end of the story, it's not clear. It doesn't look like that only a single player made it. Obviously, it is possible that the attacker had multiple accounts and had a diversified strategy in order to attack the peg, in order to take control at the end of the story of the price of USD. But that's quite curious, because even if obviously it is still quite early, because even the best analyst, it takes a lot of time to understand what's going on into the blockchain, because so many transactions, there are so many ways that you can use in order to hide your traces. So it's not easy to rebuild to the overall story. But I will share it with you because it's quite interesting. And in your opinion, there is still space for an algo stablecoin, or after what happened with USD, it's something that is a great dream? I was defining the other day something that we don't like it, but we love it. From one side, we don't like stable coins, or at least the algo stable coins, because they are risky, but we are loving them because they are representing the dream that has been embodied.
I think that the value driver and the product market fit is so great that it's inevitable that it's going to work. There's no future where crypto survives that there is not a functional, stable, algorithmic based, probably semi-backed stablecoin, which is censorship resistant and truly decentralized.
But when you say partially backed, you mean in which percentage? Just to understand if it is
I don't know, it could be 30%, it could be 60%, but meaning that, and it has to be backed by decentralized assets. It can't just be backed by trust of governments or banks or, dollars in a safe somewhere, or gold or something.
And so, do you mean that, for example, the experiment by Frax is something that is going in the right direction, is something that could be a starting point?
Sam is an inspiration. I think what he's built and designed is truly remarkable. And I've been lucky enough to spend to have some time with him and to pick his brain, and he's definitely one of my one of the people that I look up to in the space. And so it is I think it's the holy grail of crypto. So I think it'll take 5 years before we reach something that surpasses the market cap of Terra, because that's how much it takes. That's 2 market cycles. I think that we're going to have to go through a bear market. We're going to go through a bull run. We'll hit another bear market. We'll hit another bull run. And then there's an opportunity there for, something to surpass UST. I don't see how it happens just in terms of collective psychology, but before, what was trendy in the previous bull run is never what's trendy in the current bull run. So we need to go with at least 1 bull run and 1 bust. And then the next bull run could have a chance for an algorithmic stablecoin.
So it will take some time. And your opinion, as it is the classic version of Terra, it is something that is just going to be a meme blockchain, or it has some kind of future, or it's going to die, or what is your opinion about it?
I think it's too early. I would never bet against Do. I think that he's like a hurricane. Just what he plows through, he plows through. I think Terra 2 has a very good chance of being successful, of being the most successful Cosmos chain. And for Terra 1 or Terra Classic, I don't know. I've seen so many crazy things in crypto. That's what it comes down to, is like, are you really going to say, oh, that's impossible? Like, look at Doge. Like, would you ever have imagined, like going back from 2016, like
That's
6 years
incredible.
ago, that like Elon Musk would be pumping Doge on on national television? I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's like, that's what's so funny about this space. So I know that look, one of the things that I gained over this last month is a hubris, is humility, of just recognizing that there were so many assumptions that I made that were wrong. I'm still licking my wounds from those wrongs. So I'm not about to sit here and to come on and talk to anybody and say, oh, Luna Classic is not going to make it because it doesn't have the redemption. It doesn't have, the swapping or the burning. It doesn't have, Terraform Labs. It doesn't have Mirror. It doesn't have yada, yada, yada. Because I'm at a point where I have more questions about what I know than answers to what I think I know.
Yeah, that's pretty clear. And about the person, DoKwon, because at the end, he is the leader, the thought leader about the most important person when we are talking about Luna, Terra, UST. And I know that probably you can't say more, but what I was thinking is that I can understand why in the middle of the crisis, he came out with a couple of statements through Twitter, just saying like, steady lads, we are deploying more capitals, or we are coming with a recovery plan. Statement that were hard statement that many people took seriously, and they decided to hold, waiting for some kind of recovery plan by him, or at least by someone, by the team, or someone that is involved into the project. And the end of the story, nothing happened. No official statement by him recalling it, nothing that was no more capital, no more communication, nothing else. I don't know what is your idea about it, because if it is something that I really have something like complaining about, I'm not here to speculate about what happened, because in my opinion, to speculate about anyone pointing the finger, we need proofs. But on the other side, I think that it's not really acceptable, this kind of communication, because many people were trusting him as a thought leader, as a person that took the lead, and they were simply following. And seeing from one side that, because obviously big VCs are having their own risk management strategies and so on. On the other side, small holders are more emotional. They are just looking at Twitter and so on. And the end of the story, they are taking decisions based on that. And seeing this kind of communication is something that at least is quite, I don't know how to define, not respectful for the people that have invested, irresponsible, something that at least is really risky, because in the end of the story came out with nothing.
Look, I based some of my decisions off of what he tweeted as well. And it ended up being, it didn't work out how I thought it was going to work. So I don't have inside his brain. So I don't know why, but I do believe that he believed the statements that he was making. I can't even imagine, like, I experienced it from my own self. I experienced, having to go to my wife and explain to her what happened and how that was going to impact our life, to call up like my relatives and explain to them what happened, like, to try and figure out, like, on the team and stuff, like, who was critical and who would make a cut and who wouldn't make a cut, and to share my thoughts, with management. So I can't even begin to imagine what this was like for him. And so it's hard for me to understand his statements. But I just know that that the retail, person that, is very emotionally driven, I consider that I fell into that bucket as well, for, to my detriment.
Yeah, that's quite normal, because at the end of the story, we are all humans, and we can't just shut down our emotions. We are just feeling something, and we can like it or not, but in the end, we are just taking decision based on what we are feeling. That's the reason why most of the time, the more we have planned in advance how to manage difficult situation is the only way out, because when we are in the middle of the action, it's really so difficult to take decisions that really, it's really difficult. The only thing that I was wondering is that from one side, I'm thinking that each investor should take full responsibility of its own choices, because that's the only way to grow. If we don't take full responsibility of our investment, it's like we are not investors anymore. We are just like puppets that we are doing just something according to what other people are saying. And that's something that is not the game. It's not about investment anymore. It's just about gambling or just copying someone else without having any clue on what we are doing. And that's something that should stop, because that's the best way to lose money. On the other side, and that's not only about DoKwon, because what I have seen the last couple of months, too many times, also the same story happened with Andre Cronje just a couple of months before.
Yep.
Also, he came out with a statement.
I've spoken to Andre before. It's I think one of the reasons that he's so apprehensive about the space as a whole is because he doesn't want the influence that people give him.
I can understand, because not all the people are loving it. And it also takes a lot of responsibility, a lot of pressure, and it's not easy to manage that. But what I'm thinking is that it's not important in the end if you are liking it or not. If you are having it, you can also quit it, but you need to manage all the different steps, because you have really a lot of responsibilities. Your audience is giving you a lot of responsibilities, and you have to respect them, even if you don't like it. And that's something that I think that the whole DeFi space has to mature from this point of view, because otherwise we are not reliable. And when I'm saying we, I'm saying like the whole community, the whole DeFi space is not reliable, and no more people will be so willing to jump into this industry, because the risk that is appearing from outside, it is insane. And we need leaders that are communicating, and even if you want to quit, that's perfectly legit, but you need to quit following all the steps, communicating to the right way with your people. And because at the end, literally, communication is the key point. And if you are not communicating well, the risk that retail people, but also investors or many people, the whole crypto space, DeFi space, is at risk of crash. We have seen it with Andre, with Phantom, crash like 60% just one day. And on the other side, we have seen many people just following DoKwon and losing so much money that has been quite literally impressive.
So I'm not sure how to balance that, because on one side, I think that it takes strong leadership, and if not strong leadership, then at least a good communicator that can rally a message in order to get a community to come together. And communities are what make any ecosystem valuable. If you don't have a strong community, you have nothing. So it's a little bit like a catch-22. It's kind of like the goal of any community leader is to, I think it's really to emulate Satoshi. Like, what it's,
It would be great. The point is, are we able to do it again?
Yeah, exactly. Even like go back to, I don't know if you read the Bible, like it's not very popular to read the Bible, but like,
not whole.
But when the Jews came to Israel, Moses, who was their leader, left them, and he died in the desert. And so the last few chapters of like the Old Testament is, or the books of Moses is him saying like, I'm not going to be with you. You guys are going to have to go and do this on your own. Like you have to be a group of people that can actually succeed. And on the values that I've been teaching you for 40 years in the desert, you have to be able to enter into Israel and fulfill these values on your own without me. And that's what Satoshi did. And I think that that's what any successful leader in this space ultimately will have to do, is that you have to succeed at building a community that that you can walk away from and will be able to survive on its own.
It would be very interesting if we will be able to fulfill it. The reason why I'm skeptical about it when we are talking about DeFi is because the main difference between DeFi and Bitcoin is that Bitcoin is not needing to change so many times. It is just as it is. And when we are talking about DeFi, everything is changing so fast that we need some kind of decision maker that is able to take the decision. Because one story is simply analyzing what's going on. Another one is taking the decision, and taking the responsibility and having the courage to say, guys, we are doing it for this reason, for this other reason. Yes, we can discuss, but at the end, someone has to take that kind of decision. Yes, we can have some kind of community governance, but also it's not easy. If too many people are voting, it's not easy to take the right decision, because also the complexity of a story of anything that is related to any kind of decision is quite high. And most of the time, only a few people are having the full picture, and they are having the real ability to take that kind of decision. So I really don't get how a decentralized system, or how just a new Satoshi Nakamoto can manage this kind of situation.
So you make a great point, and governance and decision making on a protocol that still needs to be able to adapt quickly and to grow quickly is a paradox, and it's a challenge. And I think that we're learning to improve the ways that decisions are arrived at, and then how implementation occurs based on those decisions. And there's always going to be this kind of like a curve, like a chart that's like a curve that at the early stages of a product, value will be created quickly, and that value will attract bad actors. And then those bad actors are not going to be incentivized for the long-term success of the protocol, but rather for the quick exit, which maximizes their short-term profits. And that creates a risk factor where, if everything just started out with democracy, pure democracy from the community, then the pure democracy would sabotage every project, because those with the short-term time preference and with deep pockets would be able to drain every protocol before it was able to achieve a sense of long-term success. So I don't think that we've come up with a good solution from a democratic standpoint or an economic standpoint. But I believe that over time, these solutions will be implemented and they will be effective. And and that ultimately now the short-term solution is idealistic custodians, benevolent dictators, I guess is another way to put it, where you have somebody that is not necessarily motivated by short-term profits, but rather by long-term ideals, and to bestow the burden of leadership onto those individuals in order to achieve potential for long-term success. I think that that's where we are today. And that's why many people scoff at the concept of DeFi, because they say, well, there's nothing really decentralized about it, because there's always, Rune has a big red button, and, Stanny has a big red button, and Sam and Andre and, all of these guys. And so it's not an ideal solution. I think it's a stopgap in a very, infant industry, but I think it's one that has in the most part, the right value drivers, and that ultimately through iteration, we will achieve the goal, which is to create decentralized finance.
Yeah, that's literally a critical point that really will decide how DeFi will evolve, because the pure decentralized model, it is something that is, I'm not saying obsolete, but at least should be improved and should take in account what the real human nature is. Because yes, we can't simply live in a utopia where we can say it would be nice having this kind of stuff without taking account what we are, because we are not here to change what a human being is and how we are thinking. We have to adapt to the situation and understanding how DeFi can evolve with it. Just going back to Luna Foundation Guard, and after that, I want to also ask you something about Levana. One question that many people are asking is, there will be any kind of refund from the Luna Foundation Guard for people who lost a lot of money? Because that was a voice that we heard a lot of time. I don't know if that's a topic that has been talked also with you, that you were involved or anything like that.
No, I mean, if any of those conversations happened, I wasn't a part of them or invited to them.
And in your opinion, that's something that makes sense, that's possible, or at the end it will be just a so small refund that it doesn't make any sense?
Well, I mean, I think the airdrop of Terra 2 was designed to play that type of a role or narrative, at least from many people that I spoke to, like just community members or builders on Terra. That's how they viewed it. The mission statement of LFG was, clearly focused around finding ways to maintain the peg, and whether or not, the best decision making happened. It's always easy to be, it's called like a Monday morning quarterback, after the game, to look back on it. So whether or not the right decisions or the best decisions or the most transparent decisions happened, I don't know. But as I told you before, I think that we will learn, and we'll probably learn through Twitter, through researchers and publications and things like that. But I don't believe that it's within the mission statement of the organization to act as an insurance policy. I don't think that ever was
the main interest, that's clear.
Yeah, also, it was never communicated. So
yeah,
somebody to come and to say like, can't you be my insurance, when it's like, well, like, where did that even come from? Like, how, like, why would you even think to ask that?
Yeah, that's clear. And what will be the destiny of the last? I think that there is like a $200 million, something like that, in the treasury left.
I'd have to look. I mean, I guess I can pull it up on the the Twitter posts. But I think that they were transparent about the treasury, what was left in the treasury.
Yeah, it was something like 200, because it was like some million from AVAX and the 300 Bitcoin left.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it should be something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, and what is the destiny right now of Levana? Because obviously we all know that Levana was built to work on Terra, but right now, how the Levana roadmap will evolve and on which chain it will be deployed? What is the plan right now?
So the plan right now is to become chain agnostic in the short term. And we've got a migration strategy where you can generate a Dragon wallet, like private keys for a Dragon wallet, and that Dragon wallet is not connected to any one chain. So if you go onto our Twitter feed, then you can see the the directions or the instructions on how to generate a Dragon wallet, how to export a private key, and then be able to use that wherever the next product from Levana launches. So we right now are, while we're invested, look, the decision to come to Terra was one that the Levana team spent over a year on, investigating chains, where to build and things like that. And so now it's kind of like the team is forced to like make a decision about where to spend the next year's building as like a primary place where to do a token generation event, where to do all of this stuff. All of that, was, it's kind of being forced to like fast track it. So there's no announcement yet. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of developer research. There's guys on the team that are literally researching like every single chain. And obviously, Terra was a Cosmos chain. So the least amount of friction is to redeploy onto Terra 2. The next closest is like Osmosis or Secret or Juno, which are also Cosmos chains. Then obviously there's other Rust-based chains like Solana and Mir, some Polkadot instances, and parachains. Sorry, yeah. So some Polkadot parachains, and then and then there's all the EVM chains. So that process is still going on. And what was most important was that anybody who owns Levana assets should know that your assets will survive Terra, that they will be safe on a new chain, and that the decision as to where to move to is not being made lightly. A lot of effort and work is being put into that. And then, and what's important now is to protect your assets via creating a Dragon wallet, which will essentially give you a private key that you can use to migrate anywhere, and it will give you a snapshot of the assets that you had, or that it will create a snapshot. I think the snapshot is scheduled for a week from today. So that's, unfortunately, I wish I had more information, but until the dev team decides where they want to move,
that's a complex process and it takes time. But just I'm curious to know, a problem like this one, what is the impact into the roadmap? How long does it take to recover what happened right now and to be back on track with the original roadmap?
I suspect it's somewhere between 6 to 9 months disruption. That's my gut. Just being completely honest. I think that it obviously depends on how, first of all, look, losing a 30-year treasury, we're talking millions of dollars. And then having to like let go of either fire people or not hire new people that you had intended to hire. So obviously that in of itself slows things down. And then the farther away that your code base gets in terms of the virtual machine that you're building on, if we're moving to like Polygon or, to Avalanche or to Harmony. So those are all places written in Solidity. So that means completely writing,
different skills, different people, and
different skills, different people, and like throwing away millions of dollars of code that you wrote. So like, obviously that's going to set you back. So I think it's minimum 6 months, and, it could even be, a year. It's hard to say. But the thing is, what I like about Levana is that Levana is incredibly creative. And so even if some of the larger projects are set back by a year, the team will continue to deliver and continue to innovate. And that's one of the things that attracted me to Levana. And that's one of the things why I'm super bullish that Levana will continue to be successful, because the Levana team knows how to adjust more so than any other team that I've seen in the space.
That's great. How long it will take to the whole DeFi system to recover? Because one story, and that's quite impressive, seeing how just a single happening brought back a project like Levana that is doing so well by like 6 or even 1 year. And the impact in Europe, obviously we are just speculating, just thinking aloud. It's something that nobody has the answer, because the market is so unpredictable that maybe we can pump again tomorrow because a big institution is coming and is pushing so much money inside. But from a general perspective, in your opinion, this kind of happenings will have a big impact also into the whole DeFi space, or only into the Terra-related one that is quite evident?
I think there were lessons here for everyone in the space. Whether you were in DeFi, you were not in DeFi, whether you're in meme coins, you're in NFTs, you're just a Bitcoin maxi, wherever you are, there were lessons to be learned here. And I think that that every cycle gets shorter than the previous cycle. So, the last bear market that we had was like 9 months long. Maybe it was a little bit longer than that. Is this going to be 9 months long? I personally, I don't think so. I don't have a crystal ball, but I think it'll be shorter than that. And I'm optimistic. Look, the only path forward is to keep building. And so that's what I'm going to do.
Great. Same for me. I think that we are closer to a DeFi summer than what we can think, because the fundamental has grown so much. Obviously, we're just speculating, because at the end, we are so affected by the overall market conditions. So we need to have an environment that is healthy, or at least is not dumping heavily, because otherwise no token, no project can really pump, can really grow, because the overall sentiment would be quite red, quite bad. So Jonathan, I'm really happy to have you here. That was a great chat. And I don't know if you want to add something, just to some closing thoughts or anything else.
I just want to say that I know that this is a hard time for all of us. So many of my short-term hopes and dreams and have been drastically impacted from everything that happened, and it can be very depressing in these situations. And I just want to say that it's important to use these moments of darkness, or of like feeling down, to come back to just some of the fundamentals of life, which is that every morning we're blessed with the ability to wake up, the ability to just breathe fresh air, and to experience sunshine, and to stand on our 2 feet, and to enjoy so much of the things that life has to offer. That I hope that if anybody is really having a difficult time, that they will seek the help that they need, because life is worth so much more than money, and it's worth so much more than magic internet money, and it's these opportunities that we have we might have been wrecked financially, but we can use them as an opportunity for internal growth, and spiritual growth, and to really reconnect with our loved ones. So I hope everybody is doing okay. And if you need somebody to talk to, I'm available and happy to chat with anybody.
Thank you. I will leave your contacts, your public contact that are in the description below, plus also all the Levana ones, in order to keep you updated. And remember, guys, that in this time, things are changing so fast. So stay on track, try to be updated, try to follow the official channels, and try not just to stay too stick about all the FUD that is coming out, but try to stay more on the facts, because we can speculate whatever we want about what happened, but at the end, nobody knows. Only a few people are knowing it. Maybe in the future, more news, more information will come, and we will be able to better understand what happened. But what really matters right now is to stay on track, to keep going, because nothing goes up forever and nothing goes down forever. At the end, we will have again a new rally, and we have to be ready for it. Jonathan, it was really a pleasure to talk with you. I hope to have
thank you. It's always Alberto, I enjoy all of our conversations, so happy to talk with you, hopefully on with better news to share in the near future.
Hope the same. It was really a pleasure.